Welcome into a great edition of the Rundown here at Big Rapids Daily News and WBRN. Brandon Worth, Jack Heckman here with you. Guys, it's spring break. Well, almost. We're oh so close to spring break, but we're getting you an episode, a great interview. We're back to interviews here for the spring. Very excited. Coach Pedigo joining us, a well-known name in the coaching community and circles here from the local area. Great to hear from him, Jack, here on the show, and just to be able to highlight some accolades for the Centurions this past season.
Yeah, they've done an incredible job. A 6-win improvement from the previous season. And this is a team that went 7-7 conference with a very tough out-of-conference schedule. But that's just the type of respect to win these awards that you have to be for a 10-18 team. You don't hear a lot of 10-18 teams winning as many awards as they did. Just an incredible job Coach Pedigo's done. And that's a lot of respect to that team.
Absolutely. And it's a program that's still building, in the baby steps of its inception from only a few years ago. And we'll get to talk about it with him, recruiting, and how the local area has been such a big part of that team here in just a little bit. Spring sports, Jack, are in full swing as well. Some teams are trying to get some baseball and softball in over spring break. A majority of it will happen once we flip into April. But some local teams getting out there already. Spring is underway. Quick, fast, and a hurry.
Yeah, it's always risky to schedule games before spring break, but Grant's one of those teams getting it underway. Grant's looking how they're supposed to right now, hitting the ball well. Took a loss to Kanawha Hills, but that's a really good Kanawha Hills team coming out of the Grand Rapids area. Grant took two big-time victories against Oak Ridge today as Wednesday as we're recording this. This team is looking how they're supposed to, hitting the ball well, and pitching's going to come as the season goes on.
Absolutely. We'll obviously get into some baseball and softball previews. We're looking at the next episode, so don't miss out. Subscribe, Big Rapids Daily News, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or if you're listening, be sure to get that preset dialed to 96.5 and 107.7 FM, 3:30 p.m., and especially 107.7 FM because Tigers are starting. So that's very exciting. That'll be on 96.5 each and every game day. You can find more information on there. Before we get to the interview, big thanks to Eagle Village and as well to Denny's Muffler and Brakes in Big Rapids for their support of this show. We appreciate them. If you want to learn more, eaglevillage.org for Eagle Village. You can also call 796-6335 if you need any automotive needs from Denny's Muffler and Brakes. With that, we will head to the interview room with the head coach of the women's basketball program at Montcalm Community College, Scott Pedigo. Now joined in the interview room, a very special guest joining us here on the Rundown. It's Montcalm Community College girls basketball coach Scott Pedigo on the show. Coach, thanks for joining us here on the Rundown.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I appreciate it. It's kind of cool. I did some of the stuff similar, back in the prep days, and kind of nice to be back here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people might have heard the news. If those that didn't hear the news, Coach of the Year honors in your conference this year after an outstanding season. First of all, what does that mean to you for how the season went for you and your team overall, and just being able to receive this honor?
I think it's pretty special. I don't think you see a lot of teams that finish fourth in a conference with the Coach of the Year. I think it showed a lot of respect we had from other colleagues and the way they voted and, what they thought that meant. As much as I can say, I can be proud of the award. It's a team award. I mean, you got to look at it that way. I had players that had to do some really big things to get, have success. I had a great assistant coach, Andrew Radio, helped do a lot of great things. And, I have a great AD, athletic department that has great support. That's allowing us, especially be a second-year program, to do some of the things we did and to get this honor. Especially there's some pretty good teams above us and some really good coaches. For me to get that honor is a celebration kind of for all of us as a program.
Absolutely. And you mentioned as well in that answer, second year with the program. This is obviously a brand new program with Montcalm Community College. This wasn't a thing that really existed only a couple years ago. So just talk us through the process for you, obviously going through applying for the job, and what really stuck out to you with a first-year program to be able to go and take this job in the first place.
It was kind of an interesting thing. This is kind of be familiar for you. I was actually you guys know all those Steve Ernst, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Reed City legend.
Yeah, he was actually the coach before me. I don't know if a lot of people know that. He reached out to me just from our days of coaching boys against each other when I was at Baldwin, and he was at some other places. And he asked me to come help him out because he seen I was doing a lot of stuff with the AAU circuit type stuff. And, the funny story about it is I talked to me and my wife were talking one morning, and I seen on Twitter, I'm like, you're not going to believe that Steve Ernst is coaching women's basketball. And I said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall of that. As funny as that sounds, I don't know. Sometimes you say things out loud and they happen. before I got to school that morning, I had a text message from Steve. Hey, give me a call when you're available today. I want to talk to you about something. So he asked me to come out and be an assistant. And so, unfortunately, with him dealing with his cancer and things like that, he got kind of sick and he resigned, and kind of felt I was in a situation where it was a good opportunity to kind of take over. It wasn't something I was really looking for at first, but when these opportunities to come along to be a head coach at, even at the community college level, to step out of the prep level and kind of come there is a big deal. And it was luckily, I had administration that took a chance on me. I didn't have any college experience, and so far, I think I'm proving them that I kind of belong where I'm at.
For sure. And you mentioned some of the high school experience that you have, taking time at Baldwin as well. I know you've been very involved with the AAU circuit locally, as well as Big Rapids in a variety of sports as well. What got you into coaching in the first place, and what do you love most about this overall area? The Big Rapids, the greater area as well for you are now, and just the level of athletes that come from it.
I think the great thing about up here is, I grew up in the Detroit area. And I came up here. Ferris obviously was a big part of it. Was able to, play collegiately here. And, the nice part is kind of got in this area. I ended up getting my kind of first teaching job in Baldwin. Really wanted to get in basketball, something I really loved when I was coming out of high school. Unfortunately, if you see the way I'm built, I was a better offensive lineman than I was a basketball player, kind of the way it happened. And, so the opportunities financially were just a lot better for football with me. It was a business decision. I did have some basketball offers. Obviously, I wasn't that size I was after college, but I got up here, just loved the area, kind of liked being away from the city. Really got involved in Baldwin. Baldwin's had a great tradition of basketball and coaching there over the years, and really was enjoying. And I kind of like all sports. It's kind of one of those things. I'm kind of a sports junkie. Love being around football. I coached football for tons of years. A lot of people don't know this. I was a track coach, and for years and years on that. And I just love being around kids and sports. And my kids play soccer. I've been at soccer games. There's probably a sports game going on in town. If I'm not busy with coaching, I'm probably checking something out.
Absolutely. And especially with you and your team being at Montcalm Community College, I know there's obviously a big focal point and footprint in that area, recruiting a lot of players from Sheridan, Stanton, right, the central Montcalm area, Lakeview, as well as some schools that are in the CSAA. Has that been really your philosophy since day one, to go after, not necessarily the CSAA in particular, but just really honing in on this area rather than trying to reach out to bigger cities with bigger markets?
Yeah, I feel a little bit of both. I feel there's a lot of untapped talent in the area. People don't realize. I think if you see, if you look at some of the girls, the success they had, I had 4 players, all conference this year. 2 of them were from Central Montcalm. One was from Lakeview, and one was from Belden area. A couple of these girls were, they weren't the athletes. They weren't showcased in that type of way. I think they just, some of it comes with maturing, growing, learning, a little different system. But some were kind of diamonds in the rough, and we were able to expose it and kind of help me. And, starting out, it's tough locally. We're building a lot of things. Like our dorms just got built. They're not open till the fall. So to help people, hey, come to Sidney, Michigan, and we don't have housing, find something in that area. Luckily Greenville's close and kids can live there, but we, there's a lot of things with, I think there's a lot of local talent. Do we go outside? Yes. I mean, I'm not turning kids down that are talented, that are interested. I think this year, we don't have as many local kids. I think out of the 6 that we signed so far, I don't think any of them are out of this. There's none out of the CSSA. So, we had to spread out a little bit. Sometimes it comes in spurts. There's kids that want to play, kids that don't want to play. And we're hoping maybe we'll get 1 or 2 to sign that are local, and we're going to go from there. But I think that was our starting point, is we wanted a local fan base. We wanted a community that was going to be proud of the team. And, how else do you do that is you get local kids playing there.
Absolutely. A lot of those, those stepping stones for you in the coaching tree, really, and maybe even along your journey as well, doing high school, being a head coach, being an assistant coach in other sports. How did those impact the way that you now see this program as the head coach?
I think the best part about being a head coach is when you were an assistant coach, right? So there's a lot of things I see as, things you want to do, things you learn from other people. I was lucky to work with some good people from different places. Even involved when I started out as an assistant, went to that head role. Some great mentors. I was lucky enough to make some good connections. There's guys I don't want to name drop because I feel like that's, I'm gonna hurt someone's feeling if I don't mention their name. But
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of people that were really good to me, helped me get started, and kind of show the ropes on these things. And being a coach in other sports lets you understand things. And it was a little bit of change switching over to women compared to the boys side, but I think I had a lot of time, having two daughters, and the AAU is where I started really doing more women's sports. And I think having a lot of great mentors and seeing a lot of good coaches allowed me to prepare for this. And then sometimes you realize you don't have to be in control of everything as a head coach. It's about making everyone else kind of join together and find success. And I think we're doing a good job of that at MCC right now.
For sure. For you as a coach, do you see yourself more? There's this kind of, the disparity of a lot of people seem like there's a line drawn in the sand, and obviously great coaches see both sides. But do you see yourself more as, more of a cultural, you're looking at a lot of the chemistry, right? The effort, the hustle, those things. Or do you also see a little bit more of yourself in that the analytical, that strategic side where the X's and O's are kind of where your strong suit is?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that's where I think my assistant coach comes in. I think I do a lot of the strategic part, things like that. I think I have a good balance of, like you're saying, with the cultural side, but I think my assistant does a really good job. It's kind of funny. We talk about it once in a while. There's certain things, especially coaching women's sports, girls have certain things they don't want to talk to your male coach about, and, have that. And I think we have a good culture where they have people to outlet to. I think I got relationships with players. It's kind of funny as it goes. We got a good relationship where I think they can joke around. They're free to talk about what they want to talk about with me. And, I think that cultural part helps. I'm a big believer in until they feel you care, they're not going to play for you well. And I feel like once they know I truly care, that's when I can really I feel the X's and O stuff comes in second. And I think I've always kind of coached that way. And I think that's what really helped us with the team I had. I think they knew I really believed in them. We cared about their best interests. And I think once kids believe that stuff and really you truly show that, I think they understand. And I think you get a lot more out of kids that way.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us. I got one more question for you here, and this is obviously short-worded, but certainly loaded. What's your favorite part, and what do you love most about coaching?
My favorite part is it's kind of tough right now because I was thinking about this the other day. It's all of a sudden the season ends and you're just like, we don't have that day-to-day interaction. I think some of that stuff is just going in the gym and even the social part, just being there, working on something, being with a group of people, having a purpose and a goal is a big thing, and having a reason to be around each other. Like right now, I was laughing because I was talking to someone about it. We did after our last game, one of the local places in the area that they did a team meal for us on our way home. We stopped and ate, and one of the girls was crying. I said, "What are you crying?" She's like, "I don't know why. I feel like it's over." And I'm like, "But we're coming back next year." So it was like, it just felt like I'm going to miss everybody. And we were talking about how we all don't realize, it's a little different, I think, at the college level compared to high school where, we start right away in September. You're allowed 20 hours a week, practicing. So you go September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So you're with each other 7 months, and then you're like, all right, it's over. Bye. I'll see you guys, and we'll get back together soon with some open gyms and in the June time. But yeah, I just miss the day to day. And, I really like watching the game film and strategizing, and it's super exciting when you see a group of, get a group of ladies together and you put a game plan in, they execute it. We were able to do that and get some big wins this year. I think that's the exciting thing is when it all comes together finally.
For sure. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us here, and good luck, obviously, in the next year, but congrats on a great season here with the Centurions.
All right. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Coach Pedigo for joining us on the show. Well-anticipated guest here on the program. Actually was sought after. We had people reach out. They wanted to hear from Coach Pedigo. We listened. Now you got it. And Jack, great interview. What was your biggest takeaway hearing from Coach Pedigo?
I think my biggest takeaway is the amount of respect he's gained from inside the conference. And, I mentioned it earlier. This is a team that did good inside their conference and played a tough out-of-conference schedule, figured it out, and guess what? They made the playoffs for the first time in program history. That's a historic season for them. My biggest takeaway, though, was the respect he's earned. This is a school that in the area, not a lot of people know where it's at. Not a lot of people even know this school exists, but it's great to see him get the respect and that team get the respect that they deserve.
Everybody needs to know Sidney, Michigan. Come on, let's be Centurion fans, all of us. But you can find more information as well on their program, montcalmcenturions.com, for Coach Pedigo and his program moving forward. Before we conclude the episode, big thanks to Dazos Digital. Target your target audience with the experts at DazosDigital.com. You can also rep your team of choice in the CSAA, alternative logo designs, t-shirts, and more. RivalsMI.com, free shipping on orders over $50. We got great episodes for you, so be sure to subscribe coming up. And Jack, baseball, softball previews look to be around the corner, and we've put in some work this offseason, so people are going to want to tune in here next week.
Yeah, most definitely. There's some very exciting teams inside the conference. Grant and Big Rapids. That's going to be such an exciting race the entire season. Those are two teams who do not like each other. It's been a new rivalry coming in the last couple of years. These are two teams. Big Rapids 12-3 last year in the conference. Grant 11-4 inside the conference. Those are two teams that have not liked each other over the last couple of years. I can't wait to see how it plays out this year.
Should be very fun. We'll break down baseball, softball, teams to watch, as well as things to watch in the conference coming up on the next episode. Until then, for Brandon Worth and Jack Heckman, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next edition of The Rundown.